Stop right there. There is a very big mistake you might be making right now when it comes to how you feel when you're kind of down or kind of low. This is what I call the pain Olympics, and this is something that so many of us are participating in without even realizing it, and it's actually hurting us and kind of preventing us from fully healing and moving past whatever is bothering us. So if you want to find out more about what the pain Olympics is so that you can get unstuck and start feeling better, then be sure to keep watching. What's up, beautiful friend? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen. I am a spiritual life and business coach, and this is my little YouTube community. Whether this is your first time here or your 17th time here, I would love to welcome you aboard. But just in case you don't know what the vibe is here, I make a brand new video training for you each and every week. I teach you how to get what you want by using the power of your mind and your energy. So if that sounds like something that you need to be a part of, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So as I said at the top of the video, today we are talking about the pain Olympics. And yes, I know that sounds like a weird thing because it is totally a term that I just came up with. But I'm sure that this has happened to you. And what I mean by the pain Olympics is basically anytime we start to compare our pain or our trauma or our level of hurt to someone else in the world. And this is actually a cultural thing. This is something that I have heard so many times in my life, and I bet you have too. This shows up in interesting ways, like when you are talking about something that has happened to you and your friend says, well, at least you're not so-and-so because that person had such a worse time than you. Or you should look on the bright side because at least you're not this person. Can you relate to having this experience, whether it's someone saying this directly to you, or maybe you have just been taught to think this way yourself? Well, today I want to talk about why comparing our pain to other people's pain is so irrelevant. And while it feels like maybe we're doing something in the short term, it is actually taking us farther away from where we want to go, which is to feeling healed and to feeling better. So what I'm calling the pain Olympics is anytime we're comparing our pain to other people in the world with this kind of concept that there can only be one winner of the pain Olympics. The person with the most pain is the only one who gets to talk about their pain and gets to have their pain acknowledged in the world. That is really what it seems like sometimes. And really, that is such an unhealthy way for us all to go through life. So today I wanted to talk more about the pain Olympics and to give you some examples about why this way of thinking is so unhelpful. So if you want to find out more about the pain Olympics and how we're all buying into this weird concept, then let's get into it. Okay, so the first topic that I wanted to bring up today when it comes to pain, comparing our levels of pain to people around us, this is the most important thing that I just really want everyone to know. Your pain, your trauma, your feelings are always valid. So if something has happened to you, you get to feel bad about it. You get to feel the pain. You get to feel the hurt. You get to feel the anger. You get to feel all of it. So there's a very big difference here between acknowledging those feelings and processing them in a healthy way and staying there forever and reliving the pain over and over again. You definitely don't have to get stuck there. You don't have to keep processing the same thing over and over again. But you do need to process it. You need to acknowledge it. You need to lean into it a little bit in order to get past it. The thing is, if there is somebody sitting beside us, even a very well-meaning friend, and they're telling us that we should just feel better, that is not helping us to process our pain. That is telling us in a way that our pain is invalid and that we just shouldn't be talking about it or feeling that way at all. And neither of those things are very useful. I've mentioned this in other videos before, but I believe collectively our emotional EQ, our emotional intelligence is terrible. And most of us have no idea how to deal with our own pain, let alone with the pain of the people that we know and care about. So if somebody is doing this to you, I don't want you to be offended and to think that they're doing something wrong. They are obviously acting from what they think is the best intention, and they are trying to get you back to feeling better. However, I'm just questioning this method and this rationale because I know personally this has never worked for me. Anytime anyone tries to ever tell you to just snap out of it, how well has that worked for you? So playing this game where we feel like we need to feel better because someone else had it worse, it just doesn't really do the trick at all. It takes us away from what we're actually feeling. It makes us feel like we can't share those feelings with the world, and it doesn't actually heal anything. It just gets us to become really good at putting those feelings down where we pretend that we don't know that they're there. But we all know what happens when we pretend something isn't there. If you ignore your pain and ignore your pain and ignore your pain, sooner or later that pain is going to come flying out because it was never dealt with. So whatever has happened to you, it might make your friends uncomfortable, but it is definitely okay for you to stay there, for you to acknowledge what has happened, and for you to process that in the length of time that it takes you to do that. I just really want everyone to know that this is okay, and that even if our feelings are making other people uncomfortable, it is still okay for us to do the healing work to get on the other side. I do have other videos on this topic as well, so if you want, I will leave a link for some of those below, but really this is the most important point that I wanted to make today. Your pain is valid and you do not need to rush through it for any reason at all, especially not because there just happens to be someone else in the world who has it worse. Okay, so the second point I wanted to make today is the very fact that other people having an experience does not make your experience any easier to process. Basically, when we are trying to compete in the pain Olympics and say that really we're not allowed to feel the pain that we have unless we have the most pain out of everybody, no one is ever going to win that battle. And if we try to, we're always going to come up short. There's always going to be someone else out there who has it worse than us. But that person having it worse than you, that really has no bearing on your situation at all. And I really don't know why we feel like we need to look at other people's situations and compare ourselves to them, especially when it comes to these not so great moments in life. Of course, there is always going to be someone worse off than you. But the thing is, there's always going to be someone better than you as well. This is such a weird analogy to make because it only works when you're looking in one direction. Sure, you might be able to temporarily prop up the way you feel by comparing yourself to somebody lower than you, but that only works if you're looking this way. If you look the other way and see that there's a bunch of other people who are better off than you, then the whole thing falls apart. What someone else is experiencing is their own feeling and it's valid for them. And that really has no bearing on you whatsoever. So thinking about other people's pain will not make your pain feel any better. And like I said in the first point, like that's not going to help you through healing. That is actually just going to teach you how to either ignore your pain, pretend your pain isn't there, or not talk about your pain. And none of those things are actually going to help you through the healing process. The thing is, we all live in an imperfect world and we all experience pain and trauma at different points in time. This is not the Olympics. We should not be comparing ourselves to other people, especially during these circumstances. So you are allowed to have your pain, and at some point in time, this will be you. You will have something that hurts you. You are not obligated to go and then look at everyone else's pain and to figure out where your pain lies on the pain scale. That is really a useless exercise. And again, it is not going to make you feel better, and it's not going to make that person feel better either because there's no relevance there at all. So again, this whole weird competitive thing we have about pain is not doing anyone any favors. And that brings me to the third point that I wanted to make today, which I just sort of touched upon. This is just really the fact that comparing ourselves to other people in any way does not ever serve us. So like I just said, when we can temporarily prop up the way we're feeling by making ourselves feel superior to somebody else, that might work maybe for a little while, but that's not real healing. That's not real confidence. That's not real happiness. That's not real anything. That is you temporarily getting a feeling that you don't know how to generate yourself. And again, it only works if you look one direction. If you look in the other direction and start to compare yourself to people that are quote unquote better off than you, then the whole thing falls apart. So comparing ourselves at any moment in time to anybody is a losing game. The thing is, we have been taught to do this, and we are definitely conditioned to do this when it comes to matters of our emotional state. But it is so useless. It is so disempowering, and it is leading us farther away from the only thing that can make us feel better. At the end of the day, it's our self-love, it's our forgiveness, it's our happiness, it's our confidence. These are all things that we can give ourselves. We can process our emotions. We can learn to love ourselves, forgive ourselves, do whatever we need to do in order to feel better. That is the stuff that is going to be long-lasting. Not you looking at so-and-so and thinking, oh, I have it so much better than them. That is not real healing behavior. That is not behavior that is going to bring you true confidence. That is not behavior that is going to bring you true happiness. We all have to learn how to become responsible for our emotional states. But part of that means not comparing it to anybody else, because everyone else's emotional state doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. I know you think it matters, but it really doesn't. And the thing is, we are always just guessing what everyone else is feeling. We will never really know the full story and the full spectrum of somebody else's life. There are so many reasons why comparing yourself just doesn't work. Whether that's when it comes to your emotional state, whether that comes to your career, your love life, whatever it is, there are so many reasons why comparison-itis is a killer of our true happiness. It is a famous quote by President Teddy Roosevelt: "Comparison is the thief of happiness." And that absolutely applies, again, to our emotions and to everything else. So if you are feeling down for whatever reason and your friends are telling you, oh, you shouldn't feel that way because so-and-so had it worse, or this thing happened to me, or that thing happened to this person, none of that is ever going to help you to genuinely feel better and to genuinely feel healed. So you have my full permission now, whether it's you making that comparison or somebody else, to completely drop the whole thing and to remember to come back and hone in on the things that will actually make you feel better, aka managing your thoughts and emotions. Okay, the fourth point I want to make today about the Pain Olympics is that we really only do this collectively when it comes to bad circumstances or to negative behaviors. So think about this. If you were working towards getting an award at work and you got the award and you're feeling really good and you're feeling really proud of yourself, and someone came up to you and said, well, you shouldn't feel that way because so-and-so got a bigger award. That would be completely ridiculous. That would be someone raining on your parade, taking away your shine. That would be an awful thing to do to someone else. Yet, for some reason, we think that doing this for the bad things in life, quote unquote bad things, is somehow way better. So if you're feeling terrible about something and someone says, well, you shouldn't feel that badly because this person had it way worse than you, that is somehow supposed to make you feel better. But what it's really doing is just invalidating the experience you're having. It's saying that you cannot have this bad feeling because someone had it worse. They have won the Pain Olympics. You did not win the Pain Olympics, so you do not get to have your feeling. Doing this when you're feeling good would be completely mean, completely unnecessary, and completely pointless. If somebody did that to you and you called them a friend, you probably wouldn't call them a friend afterwards. But for some reason, we find it perfectly okay to do the exact same thing when it comes to negative stuff. We are always comparing our situation or maybe our friends' situations to the other people that we know, and we're trying to kind of triangulate how we should be feeling. Well, again, like I said in the first point, you should be feeling the way you are feeling. You are allowed to have your feelings. You are allowed to process where you are. You are allowed to be down in life. We are human. We are not up all the time. If you were up all the time, there would literally be something wrong with you. So again, like I mentioned before, I believe our collective EQ, emotional intelligence, is not where it should be, but continuing to compare ourselves to people in the times in life when we are suffering, is really not helping anybody do anything. Again, it is just contributing to this idea that there's only one acceptable way to feel, that if we don't feel that way, there's something wrong with us, and that if we do feel that way, that maybe we need to hide it or pretend it doesn't actually bother us that much. And none of these things are actually helpful. Again, that's all just going to lead to more problems down the road, when it would just be so much better if you could just lean in to the temporary feelings of negativity, process them, and get to the other side. Okay, so my fifth and final point that I wanted to make today about the Pain Olympics is this. Other problems existing in the world do not make your problems any less real. So when I wrote this point down, I was thinking about, sometimes I've seen people out there who are like, had something happen to them at work, but feel like they don't have the right to be upset about that thing because, I don't know, it's not, they didn't experience racism or some other big problem didn't happen to them. So again, I just really want to come back to this idea that it is okay to have a problem. It is okay to have a negative experience. And it is okay to have that even if you think it's minor in the grander scheme of things. That doesn't mean that your problem isn't valid. We are not only out there fighting the big problems of the world, we are allowed to have our own problems. We are allowed to be in a place of negativity because all feelings are temporary. All feelings are flowing. And again, if we just try to concentrate on the good stuff, we miss out on the lessons. We miss out on processing. And we end up just becoming these really stiff people who are trying to hold on because there's so many emotions in there that we have not processed. I have been there. It is not a fun place to live. The world, again, isn't perfect. We all live in an imperfect world. But just because we live in an imperfect world where there are so many big problems out there, that doesn't mean that you should not be experiencing what you're experiencing or that you should not be feeling the way you are feeling. I think this idea really comes up in the world of manifestation. I still see a lot of the kind of old school manifesting way of thinking. You have to think positive all the time or you're going to attract more negative stuff into you. I can tell you guys that approach doesn't work. I mean, it is good to become responsible for your emotions and your thoughts. It is good to develop positive thinking. That those things will really serve you to become a happier and more successful person over time. But we should not take that to the extreme and think that we cannot be human. We are all going to have bad days. We are all going to have problems. And just sweeping everything under the rug and pretending it doesn't exist does not ever solve the problem. Life gives us ups and downs so that we can learn things. And if you are ignoring your problems, you are not learning from them. And you're not learning from them, you're not growing from them. Therefore, you're probably going to manifest even more of those things into your life because you're not getting the lesson and you're not moving past them. So just to recap with that one, other bigger problems in the world does not negate your problems. And you running away from your problems does not make those problems disappear. And this whole thing we have about not being able to name them, to sit with them, to be comfortable with them, again, it isn't actually solving them. It's actually taking us farther away from the things that we need to do to become the person who knows how to deal with their emotions, who knows how to process things, and can ultimately get to the other side. So that is it for today's training. What did you think? I really hope that some of these concepts landed with you today. But really, if you just want to take one, just take that idea with you that you are allowed to have your pain. You are allowed to have your emotions. You do not need to feel shamed into rushing through them for any reason at all. There are no coincidences, which means that there was something important for you to find in this video today. So I really hope that you take what you've learned with you and that you go out there and apply it. And if you have some success with this, come back and let me know. I would really love to know what your experiences are with this. Thank you so much for being here, for being part of this community. If you want to say thank you, go ahead and leave me a like. If you want to learn more from me, you can also come over to the site. I have a free manifestation planner for you guys to download over there. I'll leave a link for that in the show notes below. And other than that, I'm hoping that you take this with you, feel more emotionally empowered. Don't be afraid of your own darkness because, like I said, it's all just temporary anyway. It's all here to teach you something. So with that all being said, I'm wishing you so much love, so much joy, so much self-acceptance, and I'm wishing you an amazing week of happy manifesting.